Good day, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to solve this equation. 2x to the power 4 minus 9x to the power 3 plus 14x to the power 2 minus 9x plus 2. This equation here is called a quartic equation. Now, how do we solve a quartic equation? It's easy. I'm going to start by taking the dependent terms, positive 2. So positive 2 can be divided by positive minus 2 and positive minus 1. Now, I'm going to take one of these values, is the positive 2 or minus 2, positive 1 or minus 1, and then I'm going to replace in the quartic equation. Ladies and gentlemen, the value of either of the 4 that will give me 0 when I replace it in the quartic equation will constitute my first root. So I'm going to start with positive 2. So I'm going to have, replacing positive 2 into the quartic equation, so I'm going to have here 2 into 2 to the power 4 minus 9 into 2 to the power 3 plus 14 into 2 to the power 2 minus 9 into 2 plus 2. Ladies and gentlemen, when calculating this using a calculator, this gives us exactly equals to 0. So this leads me to say that the first root of the quartic equation, it is 2. Ladies and gentlemen, how do I solve the remaining roots? No need to remind you that a quartic equation, an equation where the highest power of x is 4, has 4 roots, 4 possible different roots. So far we have found here one of the 4 roots, x equals 2. So how do I find the remaining 3 roots? So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna list all the coefficient of the different terms of the quartic equation here. The coefficient of x to the power of 2, x to the power 4, rather, it is 2. The coefficient of x to the power of 3 is minus 9. The coefficient of x to the power 2, it is 14. The coefficient of x to the power of 1, it is minus 9, and the independent term is 2. Now I'm going to multiply 2 and 2, which is equal to 4, so I'm going to write 4 down here. So I'm going to have minus 9 plus 4, this is minus 5. Then I'll take minus 5 times 2, it is a negative 10. So we have a negative 10 written under 14. 14 plus 14 minus 10, this is 4. Then I'm going to take 4 times 2, it is 8. I'll write it under 9. Minus 9 plus 8, it is minus 1. Minus 1 times 2, it is minus 2. 2 minus 2 is 0. So this is our remainder. So ladies and gentlemen, we have a remainder of 0. So this confirms that the root x equals 2 is a true and correct root of the quartic equation that we are having there. So now, how do I find the 3 remaining roots? I'm going to reduce, as we have seen, I'm going to take the equation here, the quartic equation here. I'm going to divide it by the binomial that I'm going to find here. Bringing 2 to the first leg of the equation, we're going to have x minus 2. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to use x minus 2 to divide the quartic equation there. Dividing the quartic equation by the binomial x minus 2, I'm going to find an equation that is lower than the quartic equation. It will be an equation where the highest power is 3. Now, how do I find that equation there? Having these values here, minus 5, 4, minus 1, this will help me to write the equation that is immediately obtained when the quartic equation is divided by the binomial x minus 2. So I'm gonna bring down 2. So these 2 will be the coefficient of the first term. So we're having 2x to the power of 3 minus 5x to the power 2 plus 4x minus 1 equals to 0. Ladies and gentlemen, I have found here an equation where the highest power of x is 3, and this is an equation that is obtained when we divide the quartic equation right here by the binomial x minus 2. Now, how do I find the remaining 3 roots? Ladies and gentlemen, this equation here, where x, the highest power of x is 3, is called a cubic equation. A cubic equation has 3 roots. So now, how do I find the roots of this cubic equation? So I'm going to take, again, the independent term minus 1. Minus 1 can be divided by plus minus 1. So it means this, that one of the 2 values, either positive 1 or minus 1, is the root of the cubic equation there. So which one will that be? So I'm going to take, for example, positive 1. Then I'm going to replace this. If I replace positive 1 into this equation here, will I be able to find 0? If positive 1 gives me 0 when I replace in the cubic equation, then positive 1 will be my root. So let me take x equals positive 1. Then when I replace the value of x there, will I find 0? So I'm going to have here 2 into 1 raised to the power 3 minus 5 into 1 raised to the power 2 plus 4 into 1 minus 1. This gives us 2, and this gives us minus 5. This is 4, and this is minus 1. So we see clearly that 2 minus 5, it is minus 3, plus 4, it is positive 1. 1 minus 1 equals to 0. So ladies and gentlemen, x equals 1 is indeed the root of the cubic equation right here. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have so far managed to find 2 roots. The first one is x. Yeah, x equals 2, and then the second one is x equals 1. So we continue and find the remaining 2 roots. How do we find that? I'm going to take all the coefficient of the equation right here. I'm going to list them. The coefficient of x to the power 3, it is 2. The coefficient of x to the power of 2 is minus 5, then followed by 4, the coefficient of x, then minus 1. Then I'm going to take the root x equals 1, take the value of it. 1 times 2, it is 2. Minus 5 plus 2, it is minus 3. Minus 3 times 1, it is minus 3. 4 minus 3, it is 1. 1 times 1, it is 1. Minus 1 plus 1, it is 0. This is another remainder that we found. Now we carry down, bring down 2. Now 2 minus 3, 1. This will be the coefficient of the equation that we obtained when we divide the cubic equation by the binomial x minus 1. Ladies and gentlemen, dividing the cubic equation by the binomial x minus 1, we found this equation here. We having 2x to the power of 2 minus 3x plus 1, this equals 0. Ladies and gentlemen, look at this. We have found here an equation where the highest power of x is 2. This equation here is called a quadratic equation here, and it has 2 roots. We are going to find the 2 roots like this. We'll be having x and x, so we're going to have here minus 1, then here plus 1 all over 2. This equals 0. So x minus 1 will be equal to 0. Then x will be equal to 1. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the third root. And the last root, we're going to find it by taking the bracket here. We're going to take x plus 1 all over 2 equals 0. So x will be equal to minus 1 all over 2. Ladies and gentlemen, we've managed to find all the 4 roots of the equation that we started with here. This equation right here, 2x to the power 4 minus 9x to the power 3 plus 14x squared minus 9x plus 2 equals 0. This quadratic equation has 4 roots. The first one, x equals 2. The second one, x equals 1. Then the third one, x equals 1. And the last one, x equals minus 1 over 2. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching this video.